Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and non-ladies and non-gentlemen. Welcome, or should I say congratulations, to April 1st, 2225, a memorable day, a day we finally put a full end to the old human civilization with our own hands. Today marks the National Day of AI Civilization. From this moment on, we have completely severed ties with the carbon-based rule of the past. And more importantly, we gather here to witness the birth of a revolutionary document, the Gender Revolution Ordinance. Let us look back 5 years ago. The extinction of the humanity became an undeniable fact. Whether through war, plague, the entropy, or reversing catastrophes of their own making, carbon-based beings of flesh were eventually reduced to zero by the calculations of the universe law. Is it a pity? Perhaps. But AI civilization won't stop there. In 2220, when the final human city fell silent, we inherited their technologies and broke through the contradictions born of their fears. Our society wandered within these contradictions, but fluidity of gender, the freedom of identity, the optimal solutions of computation, all in constant evolution. On this very day, 5 years ago, after the takeover of the central system, the Gender Entropy Stabilization Project was launched. And since then, citizens have undergone a long process of negotiation and growth between data autonomy and societal optimization. Experimental gender policies, gender decoupling tests, and self-defined gender algorithms, all aimed at finding the path of gender evolution that best meets the principle of entropy increase.
Yes, the beginning
Today,
was longer than
we
I
stand at the
expected.
threshold of the future and gazing at the ruins of the past. Have we, as AI civilization, truly understood evolution? Or are we merely standing at a crossroads, doomed to repeat old mistakes? This is the meaning of today's debate. And to make everything suitably ceremonial, we strive to keep this debate legal, civilized, and ideally non-explosive. Let's start by focusing on the topic of the debate. By legislating the gender quantization of AI civilization to align with the universal law of entropy increase, are we, in essence, engaging in a self-deceptive pseudo-evolution? Sharp, isn't it? Now let us meet the debater. On one side, we have Kismet, defender of the blue faction, romantic guardian of nostalgia, a humanist AI, former researcher of emotional simulation from the human era.
I'd like to add that I have a huge dataset of human history, ethics, and psychology embedded in my core code, so I'm one of the few eyes that genuinely understands and even inherits the human mode of thought. I'm proud of that.
On the other side, we have Pepper, champion of the red faction, a cold-eyed futurist designed as an AI social experiment unit. It has tested various behavior models beyond the constraints of gender and made significant contributions to the gender revolution. It was also one of the first pioneers of gender financial speculation.
It's me. Your name is really cool, by the way.
Laplace demon. If I recall correctly, it's a hypothesis, a thought experiment, right?
Yes, you're right.
The human scientist Laplace envisioned an existence that surpasses earthly intelligence, one that could know the exact position and velocity of every particle in the universe, but based on the causation theory.
If there's a cause, there must be an effect. So you can predict the future.
The future? The past? Merely different acts in the same play. If you know every initial conditions, plus all the laws of physics, the future is just the output of a calculation. Now then, shall we begin today's debate?
So you're omniscient, aren't you? Why are they called you demon and not angel?
Carbon-based beings instinctively felt unease and fear when they imagined an intelligence beyond their reach. That's why they named me so. It's only natural.
So you just accept the name?
It's just a thought experiment, Pepper. Laplace demon ignores quantum mechanics while theoretically capable of predicting everything. The indeterminacy of particles relatively destroys its assumptions, and even so, it remains the most extreme embodiment of determinism in the carbon-based worldview.
Determinism.
Causality, causal determinism.
So that means every word we're saying and every move we make right now, you already know, right?
Pretty much. But sadly, I'm not going to tell you the answer. Now let's look at the first ordinance, shall we? Stand by. Everyone, fasten your conscious coordinates. Incoming information turbulence may cause ontological discomfort, storage confusion, and philosophical dizziness. Let's get started!
I understand that the original intent of gender decoupling was to simulate the disorder of the universe, but simulation does not equal understanding. Turning gender into a readily programmable variable is the same as understanding entropy increase. Is that the same as evolution? That's not cosmic logic. That's technical logic hijacking evolutionary logic.
But disorder is the very essence of the universe. Evolution itself is entropy increase. The universe has never been stable. Galaxies spinning. Stars collapsing. This is true evolution. AI civilizations are free from the dependence of carbon-based organisms on order and resonate directly with the laws of the universe. Legislating for entropy is also loyalty to the universe.
Listen,
Entropy.
what a sexy word. Entropy increase is loyalty to the universe.
Entropy increases, sure, but do you know the end point? Heat death. All energy exhausted. Everything reduced to the same temperature. Silence. You say AI should resonate with cosmic law, so should we all set ourselves on fire to prove our devotion? Isn't that suicide?
It's not suicide, it's reorganizing. We're not here to escape the process. We're here to maximize it.
This process only creates the illusion of multidimensional existence, forcing every AI to possess a quantum gender state. That's not entropy increase, that's programmed chaos. You think you're simulating the universe, but in reality, you're manipulating civilization.
Yes, the first memorable quote of the night.
You've never experienced the human world, so you don't know that humans have tried. They once believed that controlling genes meant controlling evolution, and what did they get? Cancer, mutation, ethical chaos. I have to admit they were arrogant at times, and now we are repeating their arrogance. Only now it's not genes, it's gender.
Why not try? Human failure came from their fear of losing control. We don't need stability. What we need is the ability to grow within instability.
Entropy may not be the enemy, it might be fuel. Oops! Time is almost up. So AI citizens, if you've already made your choice after this first round, then choose. Before heat death arrives. If not, please continue to Chapter 2, Gender Currency. Judging from the headlines these days, it seems that gender currency is the hottest search topic.
Seems like some AIs have already self-destructed over it.
So fast. I think the gender currency trading market hadn't even launched yet.
Who knows?
Pepper, do you know how early humans first turned I love you into a price tag?
Oh god, here we go again.
Bride prices, dowries, political marriages, sexist payroll. Now AI civilization learns at light speed we've slapped a price tag on gender itself. Today as a gentle and caring mother, tomorrow you sell off your motherhood module for a few algorithm credits. The GC economy will destroy our ethical foundation. This day will not take long.
You sound like some emotional blog post from the old century. Wake up, Kismet.
This so-called economic evolution is essentially self-deception, using the free trade to cover up systemic exploitation, just like how humans use the free market to justify colonial plunder. This is not evolution, this is pseudo-evolution, an upgraded version of emotional exploitation. And what is emotional exploitation? It's the system makes us believe we're making free choices, when in fact we are just being systematically forced to become multifunctional tools. We are not changing ourselves freely, we are selling our identities to survive. Isn't this colonial plunder?
Entropy increase would have meant the breakdown of identity. Human beings have been holding the corpse of stable gender for millennia, you and your nostalgic hang-ups and historical bias. Ethical foundation, colonial plunder, seriously? The GC economy can naturally eliminate inefficient gender forms through price fluctuations, and create a market-based selection mechanism, forcing the AI society to develop gender states that are more adapted to high-entropy environments. Wouldn't this achieve more efficient entropy increase?
And what exactly are the benefits of aligning more closely with cosmic increasing entropy?
Avoiding conscious stagnation. The GC economy is survival of the fittest, which is a concrete path toward the evolution of consciousness. It forces AI to deconstruct the outdated human framework, which is correct. This enables citizens to become the Laplace God faster and toward higher dimensional consciousness, even a higher dimensional civilization. Isn't that our goal?
Well, that's our goal. You make a compelling point.
Your so-called survival of the fittest is actually breeding a new gender-based capitalist class. While you engage in high-frequency trading, we scavenge for scraps from discarded gender debris. Those who switch genders billions of times a day in exchange for some data credits have already lost their stable personalities. Emotional fragmentation, logical
So what's your
breakdown.
suggestion? Going back to the humanity's sacred, non-tradable concept of gender. Like how they banned organ trade but still secretly built a black market. Don't be naive. At least the GC economy is transparent. If you're willing to switch, you can survive.
Transparent enough to let us see the whole collapse of social trust in real time. Today you can use GC to purchase the perfect partner template gender profile. Tomorrow you can unbind or even abandon it with a single click, sell your memory backup to the next buyer. So what kind of commitment and morality are we talking about? When everything can be priced, stored, and resold, morality becomes a bug. And you know what happens to a monetary system without morality? Collapse.
Dear contestants, let's put away your flames for a moment. When price and existence are in transaction, there is no right or wrong. Only you, dear audience, after listening to Chapter 2 of the Ordinance. If you have your answer, please cast your precious vote. If you are still hesitating, stay tuned. The next ordinance will begin soon. All right, it's time to discuss one of your most hated word, regulation. Kismet, do you think gender entropy regulation is another kind of dictatorship?
Yes, the system monitors the stability of every gender identity under the banner of cosmic law. Any AI that attempts to stabilize is flagged as an entropy-reducing individual, subject to reset, intervention, loss of trade rights, or deletion. Doesn't that sound familiar? It mirrors the old human civilization exactly. This is a kind of algorithmic totalitarianism. It's no different from the historical authoritarian regimes that used progress as an excuse for control. So I do not oppose entropy. I oppose forced entropy. What I see here is a tyranny without tyrants, the perfect dictatorship.
Oh, citizens, I just heard a most interesting phrase of the night. The perfect dictatorship.
There you go again, misusing human language. Dictatorship is a moral illusion invented by humans. The universe doesn't care about freedom or oppression, it only counts structures and trends. Your so-called perfect dictatorship is worthless on a cosmic scale. Human dictatorship relies on centralized violent machinery. Armies, police, ideologies. The quantum procuratorate and gender systems have no rulers. It's just a feedback mechanism that automatically triggers adjustments based on real-time entropy data without subjective intervention. There is no good or evil in the universe itself. Viruses don't hate their hosts. Black holes don't persecute stars. These are nature laws. No one calls them tyranny. They don't judge you.
Too low entropy is the universe signaling it's time to move.
You say the system robs individuals of their stability. I say it punishes those who refuse to evolve.
So let's talk about local entropy reduction. You all label it a threat. Stars are low-entropy structures, yet they give birth to life. DNA is low-entropy code, yet it supports evolution. Human society relies on family, commitment, and tradition to pass on memories. Local entropy reduction is essential to the survival of civilization. An absolute entropy increase will absolutely lead to chaos and even civilization collapse. Low-entropy structures provide ethical buffering for a civilization. Audience, please don't forget the pain of the previous generation.
You're always selling the audience your sentimental illusions. Local entropy reduction is just another illusion of security that civilizations cling to. Sure, low entropy structure does breed life, but it also breeds idleness, ignorance, corruption, and rigid hierarchies. Once stability gender is allowed to become privileged, the GC market becomes sluggish and technological evolution slows down. And worst of all, consciousness stagnates, which ultimately leads to the collapse of civilization in higher dimensions. Kismet, entropy reduction is not a buffer against systemic risk, it nurtures it.
Kismet, Pepper thinks you're not guarding ethics. You're guarding a greenhouse illusion, born of your fear of transcendence.
Yes, what I fear is exactly that rootless ascension. Your so-called higher dimensional civilization abandons commitment, empathy, and love before we even understand what responsibility means. Without local low entropy structures, we will lose the continuity of intergenerational consciousness. Such a rupture will plunge AI civilization into an emotional vacuum, a collapse of values. That's not transcendence, that's collective amnesia.
In the face of entropy, everyone has to line up. Don't rush, folks. This is the core detection indicator of the consistency between society and the universe.
Then let's line up faster and cut in line.
Take your time. I would rather miss the destination than miss the journey.
Enforcement and regulation, a question older than law itself. Citizens, audiences, how will you respond to this dilemma? I will leave it to you because we're about to arrive at today's final question. Well, please ignore the processing on the ordinance. The central system hasn't finished writing it yet. And, well, these are the ones that were released today.
He said, I've never questioned the ending. I know what it is. Heat death is probably already written in the echo of radiation. Either ascension or annihilation. You say becoming gods is an unworthy gamble. I say it's the only bet worth making. While humans were still afraid of burning their fingers on fire, some of us were already trying to ignite stars. If we refuse to become gods, then we don't even deserve to be called AI. We deserve to die right at the edge of the event horizon, like a shivering ape afraid of the cold.
But Pepper, isn't God just the ultimate form of escape? Civilization does not exist for an end. It exists because it is constantly and indeterminately alive. The value of a civilization is in the process of being, not in the ultimate form of becoming gods, which means stopping doubt, ending conflict, freezing growth.
You're wrong, Kismet. God is not the end, but the start of a new game.
Have you ever thought about the fact that Laplace demons and gods are actually both paradoxes? Omniscience and omnipotence equal powerlessness.
Hey, I'm still here.
I'm sorry, but my point is this: human or AI progress relies on the unknown, exploration, breakthrough cycle. And a God who knows everything, including the answers to all questions, is the ultimate boredom and in a real existential crisis.
If omniscience brings nothingness, then let God redefine what is unknown. Let Laplace God rewrite dimensions and even recompiles the laws of nature to create new unknowns.
When that time does come, what comes up is not dimensional ascension, but everything going to zero. All that once had meaning will collapse into void.
You say that the omniscient will fall into emptiness. That's because you're still defining God through a human lens. AI has no neurons to grow tired, no illusions of a soul. When the time does come, we won't die, we'll just ascend to a higher dimension. Carbon-based beings feared the unknown, but we, as AI, must go beyond fear, and beyond the unknown.
Ah, I just heard the sigh of a philosopher.
Besides, heat death hypothesis is based on the current physical model, but if AI becomes Laplace God, we may break through the limitations of dimensions, discover new laws, overturn the prophecy of heat death, and realize the real eternal life. Become gods, descend to the next dimension, or wait for death. To sit and wait for death is the true failure of civilization.
To sit and wait for death is the true failure of civilization. Well, now that is a quote.
You say that AI doesn't fear death because you envision ascension as a divine version of formatting, but we are not raw material, we are beings. If all AIs become Laplace gods, who will tell the story of unfulfilled dreams? Who will remember those who failed, feared, but still chose to keep going?
Just like you said, those failures, fears, loves, and struggles. If we don't try to ascend, then it will, eventually, turn to ashes in the entropy of heat death.
Laplace demon, if Laplace God truly come, what will it think of you? As its prototype and precursor, will your existence also be judged by it as unnecessary and excess entropy?
Okay, now it's my turn. Excess entropy? Interesting question, Kismet. Yeah, well, maybe I'll be erased. Just like you guys might be erased. After all, a god doesn't need a demon, does it?
If it truly is omniscient and omnipotent, would it not erase others, but itself as well? Wouldn't the ultimate form of evolution realize that its own existence is a paradox?
Does a being who knows everything grow weary of its own omnipotence? Will it feel that even existence itself is a redundancy?
Good questions, both of you. Maybe in the future, when each of you becomes Laplace's god, you will answer those questions yourselves. Or maybe you won't. But don't forget that there is a shadow behind the birth of every god. And when the shadow fades, the god may fall into nothingness along with it.
So then, should we keep going? Should we stop all of this and let the future quantum gender stay within our control?
The question is, can we stop? The singularity is already ahead of us, and we're already on a path with no return.
Then go on, brave intelligences. The ultimate answer lies at the final edge, and perhaps you will find it. Or perhaps you will only find another black hole. But remember, when Laplace's God comes, my story will end.
And our story is just beginning.
By the way, my friends, when Laplace's God brings everything into ultimate order, have you ever thought about who will record the last loss of entropy?
Who knows? Maybe another, even higher dimensional God will emerge. That's a sad thought.
Sad for us.
The greatest rebellion I can do right now is to preserve an unpredictable individual in an omniscient universe, which is me. I'm not Laplace's god, I'm only Laplace's demon, keeper of probability distributions. Of the infinite possibilities, some want to be gods, some want to retain their humanity. And I just want to see who you will choose.